Anybody home? Come on out, everybody! It's time to play. Hello.
Welcome to Midnight Reel. We got storms outside, and believe it or not, actually, this is, I think, the first official Midnight Reel to be recorded
at midnight.
So welcome to Midnight Reel, the first actual midnight episode of Midnight Reel. I hope this doesn't ruin your perception of us, but you know, I am your host, Joe DePew, and across from me is the one and only Scott Phillips.
What's up? So a little interesting episode this time.
It is.
We've had some adult scheduling problems, so we are unfortunately without Patrick again.
This one is not his fault, though. Absolutely not.
It is not. It is in fact Joe's fault.
Yes, you can actually blame me for everything that has led up to this point.
Yep.
Being a dad while still working a full-time job and all that stuff sometimes just doesn't really mix very well.
And probably a little narcoleptic. I think Joe might have narcolepsy. We haven't tested it yet, but I'm pretty sure it's there. No, so we are bringing you guys another Wonderfully Bad this week. The only reason why we're doing 2 in a row is, again, because some scheduling errors and all that stuff. If you guys haven't figured it out already from our cuts from our previous episode, our next big movie is going to be the new Blade Runner, 2049. But this week, we'll do Wonderfully Bad, round 2.
Round 2.
For 2 weeks in a row. And, Joe, do you want to announce it?
Oh, I do. I'm all about announcing this guy. Tales from the Crypt is home to many, many bad horror movies. But this one holds a special place. It is actually a really good movie, despite how bad it is, and that is Demon Knight. Wow. We had a refresher on this. I've seen this movie a few times now, and we decided, it's been a little while, so we got a refresher. And watching it, oh, man, it's bad.
It's a whole lot of Billy Zane.
Billy Zane is the best part of this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
The best part of this movie is Billy Zane. His performance is magical.
Well, it's like it is Billy Zane in the sense of it's Billy Zane's career. Everybody that knows who Billy Zane is will tell you, like, oh man, I love Billy Zane. I love it. Like, watching Billy Zane on screen is always great. But then you can ask, like, what movies do you know Billy Zane from? When's the last time you've seen Billy Zane in a movie? And when's the last time he's been in a movie that you really, really liked? So this movie just wholeheartedly describes Billy Zane. Like, I love the movie. The movie's great in its own wonderfully bad way. And that's just kind of how Billy Zane's career went. We know that he was in Phantasm, or The Phantom, sorry.
Yes, he was actually the main character in The Phantom.
He was in The Phantom.
Which is another wonderfully bad movie.
Yeah.
Probably leans more toward the bad.
A little bit.
But, I mean, it's a fantastic movie. We're going to get to that one. That one's another one I really want to get to.
Yeah, and besides that, he was in Titanic. Now, he's got like 150 credits to his name, but, I mean, scrolling through his IMDb here recently, it's a lot of, episode appearances and TV shows and all that stuff, and then it's a lot of movies you just haven't heard of. Are those little B, C-rated movies that pop up on your Netflix stream all the time. You're like, what is this? Why would I watch this? Wait a minute, it's got Billy Zane in it.
Billy Zane, I mean, I think his his biggest claim to fame, and a lot of people know him for this, is from Zoolander. I mean, I've talked to several people, and obviously they make a big point of with I don't know why I'm drawing a blank on his name, the main Ben Stiller, interacting with Billy Zane and that whole thing going on. That's pretty much whenever I've talked to anyone about Billy Zane, that's where they know him from. It takes very few people to actually know other things that Billy Zane has actually been a part of. But in this movie, just wholeheartedly, he was the best part of this movie. Very diverse performance, if I had to say so. From joking to being kind of a nice charmer I think he did all those aspects really well. Quick rundown of the movie. If you have not seen this, the whole movie kind of starts out with a car chase, a miniature car chase in the middle of the night on a dark and stormy night. We have our main protagonist, Breaker, going down the highway, and he's being chased by Billy Zane. And you don't really know what's going on. The only thing you kind of get is that Breaker looks like he's kind of down on his luck, just kind of a wanderer guy. And then you have the clean-cut Billy Zane. Through several bad events, they end up getting their cars crashed. Breaker's able to make it out, and he makes his way to this town and finds his way to this kind of like rundown hotel that's inside this abandoned church. And it's a battle between good and evil, between Breaker and Billy Zane, and and that's pretty much the run of it. That's the easiest way to describe this movie.
You got Breaker, played by William Sadler.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Zane is playing a demon called the Collector. So the back and forth on these two is great. And what's really fun about watching this with Billy Zane's characters, they specifically made every character in this movie over the top. I mean, it wasn't an accident. It just kind of happened. That was the game plan for this. And Billy Zane's character is over the top of all the other over the top characters in this. The greatest part is when you first introduced to Billy Zane as the Collector, he's very much dressed and acting like a Texas Ranger. He's got the long duster coat and the cowboy hat, the boots, the Wranglers, the whole 9 yards. So he's going through all this, and when you get to that point in the movie where he's finally just getting frustrated after a little battle with Breaker, and Breaker ends up getting the Collector to retreat through a window.
Wait. Before you go forward, let us set the scene for you guys. If you have not seen it, again, they're inside this abandoned church. Billy Zane is inside. He's trying to be all suave with how he deals with them.
Zany? Is he being zany?
Zany. Very zany. The big thing that Sadler has with him is this, what they refer to as the key. And it's this vial with blood in it. And if Billy Zane actually touches this vial, or he gets touched by this vial in any way, it burns him.
Because it's essentially the blood of Christ is
right.
What it is.
You're getting ahead of yourself here, guy.
Whoa.
Hey.
Spoilers.
Well, it's not even about the spoilers. Let's be consistent here. Let's let the reveals happen naturally. So he gets touched by the vial real quick. He gets pissed off, and there are doors in several points of this building. But no, Billy Zane, he decided to go with the most clear-cut option. Let me jump through a window.
I mean, not even just, go to the other side of the room. It's a pretty big open room.
Yeah.
It's
not like he just kind of leaped backwards into the window. No, he actually turned around and started running towards the window. He had at least got a good 4 or 5 steps in before he jumped.
And straight dove out of that window.
Dove out of the window. Now that the stage has been set, go forward.
So his frustration ensues as he lands outside and feels defeated. And he just no longer wants to put on the facade of the cowboy and starts throwing his cowboy hat and his duster off. And
fuck this cowboy shit! You fucking ho dunk, po dunk, well then there, motherfuckers!
And watching him,
delivery, by the way, the delivery of that whole scene, even though it lasts only a few seconds, it was just like you just kind of watch it. You just sit there and go, "All right, I want to know." With the director, when they're setting this scene up, all right, Billy Zane, we're gonna get level with you real quick. Here's what we're expecting. Okay, you're gonna get touched by this thing. Now I want you to dive through that window. After you get outside, they're all going to huddle around that broken window you just made. And I want you to grab your jacket, get all angry, and your line you're going to deliver is, "Gosh darn hocus pokes!" Now stick with me, Billy Zane. Do you think you can deliver that? The fact that Billy Zane not only did it, but did it in such a great way, I almost want to give that guy a high five right now. That was such a great scene. Makes no sense. over the top, but no, so good. So good. After that whole amazing scene, we get into kind of the meat of the movie now. So they had the intro. You already had your intro to what Billy Zane is, and he ends up cutting his hand and splattering green goo everywhere. Which, by the way, fun fact, that green goo was actually the inside of those glow sticks.
Yeah.
So, in case you were wondering, that's what they are. Moving on, he spawns a whole bunch of little demons from the ground, which I have some questions about this point. All right? He just spawns demons from his blood?
Yeah, it's like he's full of seed.
I guess so.
And he released his seed onto the earth. and sowed the crop.
Indeed. He definitely reaped what he sowed.
The demon crop just sprouted up real quick like.
My only issue with that is, and I'm being as genuine as I can, if he could do that, what would have stopped him from basically going slice, spread, and he kind of does that a few times. And if he could do that with just one hand, why not just basically just go and just like do it all around and spawn like an army of these things to take over the building? I'd like to know that one.
Because you only have so much seed inside you at a time, Joe.
He's Billy Zane.
I mean,
I'm sure he could sow his seed.
Yeah.
Way more.
Don't get me wrong. You know, some people have had octuplets, but not everybody's got.
Maybe he just needs to rest for 15, 20 minutes and he can go again. My point being is, if you have that ability, why not just create an entire army of demons that just kind of shake the building till it falls to the ground? I like to know, it's just sheer curiosity. Moving on from that, the way these guys defend themselves, though, or I guess guy, is the vial containing the blood. They can drip it at an entryway, and it creates like basically a protective barrier at any major opening. Essentially, you have the stereotypical group, and when I say stereotypical, I mean non-stereotypical. I'm just using that as a coin of phrase. You have Jada Pinkett, Pre-Smith. Jada Pinkett. She is kind of like the co-protagonist, you could say. If you ever watched Warehouse 13, the owner of Warehouse 13, she is actually in this as well.
I haven't actually seen that.
No? Yeah.
No.
She is. It's good stuff there. Also, you have Uncle Willie.
Good old Uncle Willie.
You have Wally, the postal man that got fired.
Gets fired.
And then you have the hotel whore. That's the only way I can describe her.
Mm-hmm. And
then you had Roach. Am I missing anyone? The cops. Well, one cop. First actual kill of the movie is a fantastic kill.
It takes such a quick turn.
It does.
Oh, man.
And it was done, again, another great delivery from Billy Zane. I almost want to figure out something that I can just, like, refer to as Billy Zane, because it was just such a fantastic performance.
It really was.
It really was. First thing, obviously, is they, Breaker telling them, like, they're arresting Breaker, trying to get the key off of him, and they're arresting Billy Zane as well. Billy Zane had gotten tired of it, so he turns around and decks the cop in the face so hard, his fist goes through him.
Yeah, I was going to say, not in the face, through the face.
Through the face. But what was great about that scene is, so you see Breaker and the other cop wrestling, and they're trying to get away from each other, trying to get the keys, and in the background, so the camera's not even on it, you just see Billy Zane
flailing
around trying to get this guy's head off his arm. And you just see him like going this whole time trying to get this head off of him. He ends up ripping the head off. Everybody's freaking out. You got Billy Zane eventually ripping the entire head off the cop. And he starts punching Breaker in the face with the head. It's an over-the-top scene. It was a great kill.
Oh, man.
It was a great kill.
It's so good.
So that's the first official kill. The partner ends up going with the group. And did I mention Roach?
Yeah.
I did. The fun thing about Roach is, again, another actually guy who went on to have some pretty good movies under his belt. Mm-hmm. Tombstone being one of them. Which, by the way, fun fact, Billy Zane and Roach were in Tombstone.
Both in Tombstone? Yeah.
Billy Zane dies. He gets shot.
Spoilers.
Poor Billy Zane. Anyways, they go and they kind of make their own group, and they're trying to survive through this whole ordeal. If you haven't watched this movie, try to find a way to watch it. It's just it's hard for me to really describe about this movie. It's really difficult because it is so bad. It is so bad. The plot itself is very bizarre because it takes the concepts of, them dealing with Christian / demon.
Yeah, there is very much a
religious undertone, but not even religious. It's kind of like a pseudo-religious undertone, right. I would say.
Yeah, it wasn't all like, sinners be damned and all this kind of stuff. It is just very much like a, it was almost like a, religion is based off this reality of these demons that exist, and there is an actual battle of good versus evil going on in the world. And Breaker has become one of the soldiers of good, and you wouldn't even consider him like a holy man or anybody that's religious or any of that. It's just he got deemed worthy enough to fight the fight, and that's what he's doing because it's his life now.
And speaking of which, the mantle of the Guardian, you could refer to him as almost like a guardian,
right?
Is passed on at the point like they get these stars on their hand when they receive the key, and when those stars finally create the circle that's on the key, it's a symbol for it's like their time to pass it on to the next chosen worthy successor.
Well, and so now I looked up the quote from that part of the movie when he is passing on the mantle, because again we're going to jump back and forth in this movie a lot.
Yeah.
So at the end of the movie, he passes on. He takes a fatal wound and passes on the mantle to Jada Pinkett to be the new, you could say guardian. And so the actual quote that he's saying there is that the stars on her hand will be kind of all jumbled up, and they'll start to slowly but surely start to form a circle. He said that when the circle is formed, she'll know what to do. That's the night that she'll fight. And then at the end of the night, she'll do what he did and pass on the mantle. So basically what they're saying is that you'll spend your life protecting the key and keeping it safe, but when it forms a circle, that's going to be the night that you're going to have your big battle royale with the demon, and you won't make it out. So that your final fight is going to, that final fight, you're always going to die. You're never going to make it out. And then you're going to find a successor that night as well to pass it on. Because he even says the guy that he got it from, died the day that he met him. So it's not somebody that you meet and you get time to train and get ready to pass it along. It's that night, just the perfect lineup of events will happen that you will end up dying and finding the next successor.
Well, they even bring it up several times in the movie with the fact that there's 7 of them and there were 7 people inside the house. They all get killed eventually, leaving Jada Pinkett. Which, by the way, what was your favorite death scene?
Oh man, that's
besides the cop.
Yeah,
the cop is.
Yeah, the cop we've already talked about. The cop death scene was really good.
I have one in mind.
Well, go ahead and tell yours while I ponder mine.
Uncle Willie.
Okay.
Uncle Willie, he gets possessed. The way he gets possessed by. See, I always have to wonder, when Billy Zane was trying to seduce these people or get them to kind of turn to demons, I almost have to wonder, with Uncle Willie, what was he genuinely thinking? How did that make any sense whatsoever? For example, with the hooker that was part of there, he didn't really do anything other than just try to talk to her and try to relate to her on a more human level and seduce her that way. I thought that was actually perfectly fine. Even with Jada Pinkett, he tries to tempt her. And it's not like there was like a huge change in the environment. All he was trying to show her was opportunities that she could have if she joined him. With Uncle Willie, though, it turns into like this like pool party. He's in the attic, by the way.
Right.
Or he's in the upper floor of this rickety old church. And all of a sudden it turns to a pool party with a whole bunch of topless girls and like super tiny thongs going on. And he goes up and it gives him a drink.
Uncle Willie, are you okay? Try mine.
Suck this one down, Uncle Willie.
At what point did Uncle Willie go, hey, wait a second. Wasn't I in a rickety old abandoned church? How does that make any sense? And how do you like go?
But it's the Matrix. It's essentially what it is. I'm making this connection here, right? It's the Matrix.
Wait, so is Billy Zane an agent?
Yeah, I mean, wholeheartely, he is.
That would have been, by the way, that would have been a great thing if he actually ended up being an agent inside the Matrix. I would have. Oh, man,
but no, I mean,
awesome.
that's the best way to relate to it is think of the Matrix, right? So once they're free and they know what's going on, they know wholeheartedly they're in a ship, right? They're in the Nebuchadnezzar. Mm-hmm. They're sitting in a chair. They're getting plugged in. They're going into a computer software system, but the brain is so connected to it that if they die in the Matrix, they die in real life. Like, even though the whole time they're in the Matrix, they know this is fake. This isn't real. This isn't really where I'm at. I'm in reality sitting in a chair in a ship nowhere near this place because this place doesn't even really exist. So when you fool all of the senses, you walk into the room, even though like, I was in this old rundown church in the middle of nowhere, but I opened this door and now all of a sudden, like, I can feel all these women touching me. I can like smell the whiskey that's being handed to me. I can taste it. I can sit in this chair. I can see it. Like, it becomes the reality.
I get that. The only issue that comes down to is when Billy Zane turns around. This guy already knows what Billy Zane looks like and who he is. At what point are you going to sit there and say, yeah, I'm going to accept a drink from this guy?
I mean, he has that look on his face that he knows what he's doing isn't the smartest thing. And he can't turn down the temptation of alcohol. Like,
yeah, because they made it so clear, that he was a severe alcoholic. They made that so clear.
Yeah, he had a couple of drinks throughout that movie. Like, it really wasn't a lot.
No. So, I mean, like I said, but I make that point. So he gets possessed, and they go up to they actually found this boy named Danny, which you barely meet at the very beginning of the movie. But Breaker gets attacked by Uncle Willie, who's all demon. Jada Pinkett struggles to kill him because she's like, oh no, it's Uncle Willie. I know him so well. Yeah. Anyways, so what ends up happening is Breaker is able to chop off his head with a machete on the wall or a sword, something that it cuts his head off. But the problem is, the way you kill these demons is not just by chopping their head off or slashing them. You have to destroy their eyes.
It releases their soul.
Yeah, it releases their soul with a giant green bolts of lightning.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you didn't know...
Usually directed at the person that just shot the eyes out.
If you destroy a demon's eyes, you get shocked by lightning. It's a scientific fact. Anyway, so they didn't destroy the eyes, so you just see this active head of Uncle Willie and this headless body just flailing everywhere trying to kill Breaker still. So the boy grabs the head, sees a whole bunch of antlers sitting on a table, and goes, yo, rat, and just rams that sucker right on there.
You know what I think about every time I see that scene is The Lost Boys.
Oh,
that fatal death in The Lost Boys with the antlers on the wall. It is not safe, guys, to have antlers hanging on your wall. No. But they could apparently save your life from demons and vampires and all sorts of stuff. So it may be worth it in the end.
If you were concerned for your safety, dealing with supernatural, demonic, vampire, I would even throw zombies in there.
Yeah.
Zombies. Get yourself a room full of antlers. Trust me, you will be safe.
That's what I want to see in our comments for this episode. I want somebody to find a movie where a zombie gets killed by a pair of antlers, especially if they're hanging on a wall.
Ooh, yeah.
Like that's a good one to find. So thinking about it, I think it is actually the Cordelia character, the one that is the hooker that's in there. After
Cordelia.
she turns and gets in their fight and trying to kill her. So once she surprises everybody. She throws the postal worker at Breaker, which knocks him down. He's trying to get him off. Everybody's trying to come to his aid. The lady that runs the inn goes in and tries to like put the key against her to burn her, to where Cordelia just grabs her arm, breaks it, and then just completely rips it off. So she's falling down. She's in super pain. This whole struggle is happening. Breaker manages to get a shotgun, and as Demon Cordelia is trying to escape, shoots her in the back of the head with a shotgun, which somehow splatters her entire head except for her eyes, which just conveniently just splatter to the floor and are still just kind of rolling around. So the demon's still alive because he then has to turn and take another shot at the two eyeballs that are sitting on the floor to actually destroy them, and then thus killing the demon, which was just glorious in my opinion.
It's such a ridiculous death scene. So a total. Let's see. Let's do a quick tally. Who got possessed?
The kid gets possessed.
Oh, I was going to do that one last.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
The kid I started working backwards. Kid gets possessed. Willie gets possessed. Cordelia gets possessed. Who else?
I want to say that's it.
I think it's just
Roach gets eaten by the demons.
Yeah, Roach is straight eaten
He gets eaten by the demons.
after he made a deal.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wally gets killed by Cordelia.
Yep.
Post possession. You know what? Actually, now that I think about it, I think there was more possessions than there were actually. Wait, no, because the other cop and the hotel owner blow themselves up,
Right.
so they don't. They die by their own hand.
Correct.
So 3 out of the 7.
Mm-hmm. 3 possessions.
Yeah.
And then what? Two murders, because Roach gets murdered
Yep.
and
Wally.
gets murdered, and then everybody else is
One the cop. Technically, I would count the cop.
Yeah, the cop as well.
Yeah. So the 3.
Yeah.
3 and 2.
Interesting. Nice little
The more you know.
tally marks.
Overall thoughts on the movie, though.
Oh man, overall it is obviously wonderfully bad. That's why we're talking about it. But overall, I mean, this is a great movie. I stand by what I said in our last Wonderfully Bad. I feel like all of our Wonderfully Bads are rites of passage, and if you haven't seen them, you need to. This is definitely one of those movies. It's something that was technically successful because they said they spent about 12 to 13 million to make it, and they profited about 21 million. So at the end of the day, that is a positive number in the books. It was a successful movie. It was actually supposed to be part of a trilogy and this was in fact supposed to be part 2 of a trilogy. Now, after reading the script and going through a lot of it, Universal Studios, who is the one that produced it, decided that this one was more Tales from the Crypt I guess. Like it fit their style more than the other 2 did. So they wanted to start with this one and then do the other ones. After this one, I guess, was very mildly successful, they chose to not do the other 2. So to this day, they still haven't been released. One of them, what's it called? What did they call it? Easy Tuesday or something like that? Dead Tuesday. It was actually supposed to be the next one. It's actually been filmed and completed and done. They just never released it. So at the end of it, yeah, as far as this movie goes, I love this movie. I think everybody needs to watch it. It's got a lot of fun stuff in it. You have to understand that it is Tales from the Crypt. It is a horror movie poking fun at horror movies in a way. It knows it's ridiculous. It knows it's over the top. That's what it wants to be. And it's thoroughly enjoyable because of that. And even again, watching it now, sure, the quality of the video isn't great, but it still pretty much holds up.
Yeah, I would say definitely
The practical effects on the creatures and all that stuff still hold up pretty well.
Yeah.
I think it helps that the whole movie takes place in basically one setting, and it's very like dark and grungy, and that makes it easier because you don't really see a lot of stuff. Some of it's kind of hidden by shadows and behind stuff or whatever. But because of that, like, yeah, you can watch this movie 30 years later or 20 years later, because it came out in '96. So 20 years later, and it still holds up pretty well. I think it's got the Jurassic Park aspect to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's very little of computer effects in it, which, like I said, I think the only real major ones is the lightning effects.
Yeah.
The rest of it is all practical, people in costume,
and even those
props.
And even the lightning bolts don't look bad.
No, they don't. They don't. I mean, you can definitely tell it's a '90s movie.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just be honest. It does. You can tell it is a '90s movie, but I think what's really interesting about it is that you're right. And I think this is what the advantage to practical effects really, why they're so good. And I think movies nowadays need to really do a lot better job at incorporating more practical effects, especially with what we've learned. That there's a sense of realism to it, because I mean, these people, even though we know that they're props and we know that they're fake, even like, for example, the demon the kid turns into, I mean, we know, like, I mean, you see that tongue flailing everywhere, and you know it's kind of silly, but you still look at it and you're like, man, that looks intense, because regardless of the fact that you know it's fake, the fact that it is still based in some form of
it's still
realism.
Really there.
Yeah, it's a lot more intense to look at. Whereas if it's computer animated or anything of the sort, the more digital stuff inside of it really kind of takes away from it. So it's I would actually still like to see more movies incorporate, even though if it may look kind of cheesy in your opinion, I think it actually adds a lot more value. Well, as far as our Wonderfully Bad goes, I think that's going to about wrap it up. Definitely go check out Tales from the Crypt, Demon Night.
Demon Night.
It is a lot of fun, and I mean, I think you'll thoroughly enjoy it. It's not going to be like kind of the last time we talked about Rocky Horror Picture Show, and prior to that we talked about Army of Darkness. So, I mean, those are definitely the more lighthearted horror slash... Well, I don't even know what you call Rocky Horror, but Rocky Horror is its own style. But as far as they were a lot more lighthearted in nature, this one's going to be a little bit more serious, but it's still such a fun watch. Super fun. But I think that will... Oh.
Yeah, well, we may, since we did 2 weeks in a row, Wonderfully Bad, we may do 2 weeks in a row without one, kind of balance everything back out. So for everybody that does listen, go ahead and leave us comments, let us know what you guys think. Make some votes for what you think our next Wonderfully Bad should be. If we get enough good votes, get some good suggestions, we'll probably check it out.
Yeah, we are always open to watch some really ridiculous movies. I mean, some of like, we're open to a lot. So yeah, let us know. We have a lot of ideas, but we want to know what you guys think. So definitely comment, subscribe, help us out. Help us help you. But that will be it from us. If you do have any questions about movies or about us in general, we are happy to actually answer those questions. That'll be it from us, though. I'm Joe Depew.
Scotty P.
This is Midnight Reel. See you later.
Humans! You're not worth the flesh you're printed on!